Hello, welcome to another immigration art video. My name is Art Serratelli, and together with Mijal, the two of us, we run the immigration law group here at Serratelli Mijal PLLC. You could send me a text, but email is your best bet. We answer questions in email faster than we would get back to you by phone. We manage all the communication through one central email address, which you'll see in this video. Okay, today's video is about Donald Trump. President mentally stable genius is up to some new tricks, and they're impacting our work in the EB-1 self-sponsored category, extraordinary ability, and in the EB-1 employer-sponsored category, outstanding professor and researcher. So this video is a description of the new world in Trump world. In 20 years, we've never lost those three types of cases. And the other self-sponsored category, a subject for another video, the EB-2 national interest waiver. Never lost one. What's different now? What's new? In the past 4 months, we have gotten one RFE in an EB-1A extraordinary ability case, which got denied, and an EB-1B RFE, which is still pending. We haven't even answered it yet, in an outstanding professor researcher case. And I took notes, and there is a suspiciously similar pattern of RFE questions. If we don't think you can win under the current immigration interpretations that exist in Trump world, let's take a category of evidence that the government has taken issue with, and we'll explain what the government now wants to see. Well, the common thread between both of the RFEs was the following. There are black and white requirements, the language of the rule, that lists the 10 criteria or the 6 criteria. They say the following. We first must assess whether the paperwork you gave us even rises to the level of satisfying the plain language of the rule. If you are required to submit evidence of your scholarly work, your original, groundbreaking journal articles that you've published, If the answer is yes, then the government says we go to step 2 of the analysis. And step 2, in both of these RFEs that we've received, they explain, given the totality of the evidence, does the weight of the evidence, the preponderance of the evidence, really suggest that you're outstanding? Yeah, you can give us in part 1 all this paper that meets the black and white letter of the law. But 2, the more subjective part, when I look at this, do I walk away thinking, wow, this person in the EB-1A category does not have a Nobel Prize, but they are pretty darn impressive. Wow. The same goes for EB-1B, outstanding professor researcher. Are you really outstanding? Peer review of the work of others. Ready? Go. To prove that you have peer reviewed the manuscripts, the work of others for peer-reviewed journals, it's no longer good enough just to show emails inviting you to be a reviewer. Email invitations do not establish your participation in a practice. Peer review is not proven by an email invitation to review something because, are you ready? Because the review process, peer-to-peer review process, is a routine procedure that anybody in the field, oh sure, you know, any IEEE PhD off the street can come and review a manuscript. Who are you? It's nothing special. That's nothing special. Don't bother me with you and your impressive resume. It's not impressive. And I'm being silly. Of course it's impressive. Let these people at immigration do what you do. But yet, you're asking them for something. You got to play the game. So here's what they want. It's no longer good enough. Oh, please. You're outstanding. You're outstanding as a professor. You're extraordinary. Now, this is the government talking. We want you to show that your participation as a reviewer is up and above the normal, everyday, routine review process that everybody participates in. You got to be a cut above. But they're helpful. They tell you what you need. Here's what you need. You ready? You need evidence to show that you exceed the level of participation ordinarily encountered by other researchers, and your level of participation in the peer review of others needs to reflect your international recognition as a peer reviewer. What? So what does that mean? Here's what it means. They give you examples. Again, you gotta be a reviewer for some big journals, for some impressive journals, not just any old ordinary low impact journal. Oh no. Number 2, you have to have a consistent track record of review. Oh no. We can't just have a few scattered reviews here and there and you get a green card. No. A stream of review requests from these top-notch journals, and it would be helpful, and that means when it's helpful, you better have it. You better serve on the editorial board of some of these journals. And if your peer review is connected to a conference, you better have the ability to prove that the scientific conference is prestigious and you're up there rubbing elbows with all the big shots that are at the top of the field. That's what it means to be among the best in your field. Okay? We'd like to see support, evidence of your original contributions to your field of endeavor. And normally, our office and law offices like ours all over America submit letters of support and copies of all the journal published papers, all the conference proceedings in which your abstracts or in which your conference papers appear, all the book chapters or books that you've written. We submit copies of all that and reference letters that explain what all that means and the corresponding impact factor of the journal or other indicators of such for conferences. That's the norm. This exact language appeared in both the RFEs. The government says, we're sorry. Yeah, you know, in the past when we would read your letters of support and consider them the evidence of your original work, well, we don't do that anymore. We just consider them advisory. Those letters advise us, the decision makers. We don't have to listen to them. They could say you're great, but we're gonna look around for more evidence. What do we want? We want, quote, pre-existing, independent, objective evidence up and above and beyond the letters of reference. The letters of reference can explain what you do because the guy at immigration is not a scientist, because they believe sometimes these letter writers are all your friends, and in the past that was good enough, but really what we're looking for are letters not from your friends and your colleagues at your level, your peers. We want peers of your PI. If your PI has colleagues in some other school, in some other place that never met you, and they review your work and agree to help us with a letter, then a total stranger who never met you is offering an advisory opinion. It's still advisory, but it's going to carry more weight than, say, a friend of yours who worked in a lab with you around the same age. They leave your lab, get a different job, different place, different letterhead, and they say, this person's not independent. But you can't just ask a perfect stranger to help you. They're going to tell you to take a walk. So you're going to have to find people that have a connection to somebody you know. That's the conclusion my law partner Mara and I have come to as of this point. You can't ask a total stranger. Let's continue. To back up those letters, to back up your written journals and conference proceedings, we need proof that you have, for example, patents. Do you have any patents? They don't give patents away for old news ideas. A patent is an original idea. You got one? Not only do your ideas have to be patented, they got to be patents which are widely used. And it's not good enough to have a patent and have it sit on a shelf. It's got to be in wide use. Licensing agreements with industry to use your patented ideas. We need proof that your work generates widespread public commentary. There's a buzz about your work, and if you don't have it, maybe you're not that extraordinary. The buzz, the commentary evidence will be offered through citations. How many people cite to your work? And by articles in the press, the industrial press, the academic press, the popular press, about you. It's okay, but not great if you have articles about your lab, articles about your PI, But that raises the question, if the article's not about you, why do you get the green card? Give it to the PI. Here's what they want now. Here's what they want now. They want not only the CV, they want not only the CV of the letter writer, the independent colleague, they want that person's CV. They also want that person's Google Scholar citation list. And then for your publications, they want your Google Scholar citation list. And then not only do they want your Google citation list, they want the citation list from Google of every human that cited your work. So you have 100 citations, and pretend the 100 citations are 100 different people that are not you. Then you've got to give them 100 Google citation printouts. I mean, I can't make this up. And finally, they want evidence that you've got proof beyond licensing agreements, beyond contracts with companies that are using your work. So licensing agreements and contracts with companies, they sound similar, they could be different. And beyond that, if you have any other evidence that other people use your work in a practical way, that shows that you really are extraordinary. You invent, for example, technology that you've developed that lets a robotic limb speak to the rest of your body through the brain. And that nerve impulse, move my thumb, travels now through the artificial limb, and the robotic hand moves the thumb, and your brain told it to do it. Is that out there? That was your idea? Show me. How many people are waving their hands with your robotic arm? That's what they want. They're not hiding the ball. I'll give them that. They're not hiding the ball. And it's the same thing with, by the way, EB-1A or EB-1B. Same thing. For both categories, EB-1A and EB-1B, to show you're extraordinary or outstanding, and you give them a list of your conference presentations and posters and things like that. Here's what they say. A presentation at, and this is a quote, a presentation at a conference, it does not demonstrate original or scholarly contributions to the academic field because, are you ready? There's no way to determine that the papers you present are original. There's no way to determine that the people you speak to and the work you present to the people you speak to are people of consequence, that your work has any influence on people of consequence sitting in the audience. So if you try to get credit toward a green card for conference presentations now, we're going to need to know the level of sophistication of this conference. Is it one of the most prestigious in the world? Who's sitting in the audience? But this appeared in the EB-1B Outstanding Professor Researcher case, even though it was not asked about in the EB-1A case. It applies there too. Ready? The government said, we submitted emails and certificates of membership to certain organizations, but it's not enough to say that it's self-evident that if I have a PhD, then I can become a member of that organization. If I'm an electrical engineer, which in itself is an achievement, becoming an electrical engineer is not easy. Becoming a PhD in electrical engineering is not easy. I have that qualification. That's an achievement. I can join the IEEE. Is that good enough? Not anymore. Here's what they want now. And they're not kidding, because they're really specific. That's the thing. I've achieved a PhD in electrical engineering. I'm in. No. The bylaws or other written criteria from the organization itself, the organization of which you're a member, they want the written requirements to show what specific achievements you need, whether they are academic or grade point average or a patent on an invention. Whatever criteria they have, the government wants to see the written criteria from the group, and they want to see that you meet that criteria by gaining membership. They give examples. They're being helpful. USCIS, they're not all bad. They're giving very helpful examples. They say, for example, something called the Royal Society. Google it. The Royal Society has criteria of achievement so you can get in. No achievement, no membership. They also say, Google it, they also say that the National Academy of Sciences, foreign associate member, they even tell you the position you have to have in the National Academy of Sciences. That title in that group has a set criteria listing of achievement for you to then become a member. So if you don't rise to the level of those two examples, Google them, you lose. And then the remainder of the notes I took are exclusively EB-1B, outstanding professor or researcher sponsored by an institution. And here we go. The letter of employment from HR wasn't good enough. What did we submit? A letter from HR that describes the exact requirements demanded by the black and white letter of the law. Now we get back in response to our letter from HR that satisfies the black and white letter of the law the following. And I have a problem with this one. They're confusing two concepts. They're confusing tenure track and permanent position. Here's what they say. The letter from HR does not satisfy our requirements because the letter from HR does not indicate that the job is a permanent position, because it does not indicate that it's tenure track. No job technically is permanent, but what they mean is, does the job have a permanent place in the workforce, and it's permanently funded by the hard budget money guaranteed to run the place. You may or may not be in it, but it's a permanent job as long as you perform. That's permanent position. Tenure track, what if you work in a university where there is no tenure? What if you work in a Christian university or Bible college where every year your contract is renewable? Because if one day you come in, start talking about, instead of the Lord, you start talking about Satan. In our Bible class today, kids, we had scheduled to study the chapter on the resurrection, but instead, you'll be fired on the spot. You are a renegade professor and you're fired on the spot. No tenure for anybody. So, in those cases, is the government saying no one has a permanent position? Baloney. Baloney. I promise you this, don't be discouraged. Do not be discouraged. They told me what they want. Now we gotta go get it. If you want the green card badly enough, we'll figure out a way to do it. And if you just don't have it, then maybe it's premature, and we'll come back and revisit it later as you're more maturely ensconced in your career with more achievements, or you get a different kind of a green card. You get a perm labor cert. And we're not gonna let some president mentally stable genius mess things up. Absolutely not. The law is always in a state of flux. The law is always changing. It's our job as lawyers to change with it and give you the advice you need.